That night, I learned something I never expected. Sometimes your life doesn't fall apart because of a big event, but because of one quiet notification you were never supposed to see. I never imagined that the end of my story would begin with a simple double vibration on a phone. And I definitely didn't think it would happen on the night I planned to take the biggest step of my life. From the moment I woke up, everything felt perfect. I made breakfast early, brought her coffee the way she likes it. Almond milk, 2 drops of vanilla syrup. We laughed about something stupid, and for a moment I thought, this is it. This is the life I want forever. After work, we drove out to the ocean, her favorite place on earth. We went to the same beach where we had our first kiss. We sat on a blanket, eating her favorite cookie and cream ice cream while watching the sun sink into the water. She rested her head on my shoulder, and I thought, tonight, I'll ask her to marry me. I was completely sure, completely calm, completely happy. When we came home, she went to shower, and I stayed in the living room to check the ring box one last time. I opened it and felt my chest tighten. It was perfect. Simple, elegant, exactly the kind she once pointed at in a jewelry shop and said, if you ever decide to propose. I love rings like this. And I had decided. That's why, when I walked into the bedroom a few minutes later, I didn't expect anything to be wrong. I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't suspicious. I was just happy. Her phone was lying on the bed. She must have left it there before stepping into the shower. And then, the screen lit up. One short message. One sentence that shattered my entire reality more cleanly than an explosion ever could. Last night was incredible. I can still smell you on me. At first, I didn't even understand what I'd read. My brain tried to protect me. Told me it could be spam, or a joke, or some crazy wrong number. I froze, staring at the glowing screen like it belonged to someone else. Then a second message appeared. Tell me when you can sneak out again. I miss you. Something inside me dropped. Hard, sharp, cold. I suddenly felt ice in my chest, in my throat, in my hands. All the memories, all the nights together, all the plans we made, they flickered through my mind like a movie reel burning in a projector. Her laugh, our road trips, the way she looked at me when she said she loved me. All of it suddenly felt like audio from a broken recording. Distorted, wrong, distant. I didn't want to touch the phone. I was afraid to. I knew that one swipe would show me the truth, and once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. The screen dimmed. The room fell silent again, and that silence was louder than anything I'd ever heard. I reached out. My fingers touched the screen, and in that moment I knew. Whatever I was about to see, there was no going back. When that screen lit up in my hand, I didn't feel anger. Not yet. Just a kind of deep, hollow emptiness, like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left nothing but silence. And before I tell you what happened next, I need to explain something important. Because none of this made sense at first. None of it fit the life I thought we had. We met in college. She was the kind of person who made every room brighter just by walking into it. Confident, full of energy, the center of attention without even trying. I was the quiet one, the reliable guy. But somehow we clicked. And from the moment she asked me for help on a project, we were inseparable. We went through everything together. Tiny apartments, shared bills, late-night study sessions, job changes, long commutes, growing pains. We built ourselves from nothing, step by step, side by side. And for years, I truly believed we were building a future together. We traveled up and down the coast, caught sunrises, explored small towns, ate in cheap diners, laughed until it hurt. She used to fall asleep on my lap after exhausting days. She baked cookies for my birthdays, even if it meant staying up late the night before. I made her photo books from our trips, surprised her with little things just to make her smile. It felt real. It felt solid. It felt like us. But looking back now, I realized there were cracks forming long before I noticed them. About 6 months ago, she started coming home later. Work got busier. Deadlines got tighter. She seemed tired, distracted, distant. Sometimes she'd keep her phone face down. She said it was so notifications wouldn't interrupt our time together. And I believed her, because trust was the foundation of our relationship. And I thought that foundation was unbreakable. There were days when she'd suddenly become extra loving, overly affectionate, overly attentive. I used to think it was because she missed me, because she found comfort in us after stressful days. Now I know better. Looking back, the signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. Because nobody wants to admit their perfect life might be nothing more than an illusion. And now, holding her phone and staring at those messages, the illusion shattered. The little things she hid, the details she brushed off, the excuses I accepted, they all clicked into place. I finally swiped open the screen. My hand was shaking. And the first date that appeared on the messages, it wasn't from yesterday or last week. It was from months ago. And as I started scrolling, slowly, painfully, I realized I wasn't just looking at two messages. I was staring into an entire hidden world she built behind my back. And I had no idea that this was only the beginning of what I was about to uncover. When I saw the date on the very first message, it felt like the floor disappeared under me. Months. She had been talking to him for months. I kept scrolling, slowly at first, then faster, as if some part of me needed to see everything, even though every new line of text cut deeper than the last. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a drunken impulse or a moment of weakness. No, this was a relationship. A fully formed, emotional, intimate connection she chose to build behind my back. The first messages were light, playful, jokes, teasing, the same kind of banter she used with me when we first started dating. I recognized her tone, her rhythm, her warmth, the version of her I thought had just grown up or gotten tired. Turns out, she didn't disappear. She just found someone else to give that part of herself to. Then came the photos. Not explicit, worse. Ordinary. Intimate in a way that hurt more than anything physical. A picture of a coffee on a table with the caption, "Your favorite, thinking about you." A picture of her in her car, heading home. "I'll pretend I'm tired. You've been on my mind all day." My chest tightened. I felt my jaw lock. I kept scrolling. I saw dates, times, excuses I had memorized by heart. Her late-night meetings. Her girls' nights out. Her "I'm exhausted, don't wait up." All of them were lies. The night of our anniversary, the night I spent preparing dinner, waiting alone until midnight. She wasn't stuck at a last-minute team meeting. She was with him. Then I found the conversation that broke me more than anything else. He wrote, "I get the feeling you're not happy at home." She replied, "I don't know. Sometimes it feels like I'm living a double life." A double life. She told him that. Not me. She confided in him about a life I thought we shared. The deeper I went, the clearer it became. These weren't just messages. This was a second identity, another version of her, that she never let me see. Then I reached the first night they met up. She wrote, "I'll leave in about 20 minutes. Wait for me in the car." My hands went cold, because I remembered that night perfectly. She came home glowing, energized, happy. I thought she'd had a great time with her friends. How blind love can be. But the final blow was still ahead. Weeks into the thread, I saw a message from him. "Are you sure you want to keep doing this? You have him." And she answered, "He's just stability. You're what I feel." I shut my eyes. I swear the room tilted. She wasn't just cheating on me. She had emotionally left me long before any physical line was crossed. She wasn't just lying. She had replaced me with someone else. I kept scrolling. I don't know why. Sometimes people keep touching a wound just to make sure the pain is real. When I finally looked up from the phone, the world felt quieter, heavier. That was the moment I understood. I hadn't lost her that night. I had lost her months ago, and the person I thought she was existed only in my memory. I don't know how long I sat on the edge of that bed, holding her phone, staring at a truth I never asked for. Maybe a minute, maybe an hour. Time doesn't move normally when your world collapses. It stretches, thickens, slows down until everything feels unreal, like you're watching a movie of your own life, but someone else is playing your role. I heard the shower turn off. I heard her humming, light, cheerful, the same tune she always sang when she was in a good mood. And somehow, that hurt more than anything I had read. Her happiness didn't include me anymore. It belonged to someone else. I placed her phone back on the bed, screen down, the same way she had been placing it for months. Somehow, even in that moment, I wanted everything to look untouched, invisible, as if the truth shouldn't disturb the neatness of her lies. I walked out of the room like nothing had happened, like I wasn't holding the weight of an entire broken life inside me. She stepped out of the bathroom with a towel around her hair, smiling at me the way she always did, and said, "Are you ready? I'll be out in a minute." And that smile, that effortless, warm, familiar smile, cut deeper than any message on her phone, because now I finally saw what hid behind it. We walked to the kitchen. She poured herself a glass of water and said, without even looking at me, "Thank you for today. It was perfect." Perfect. That word almost made me laugh. Perfect for who? I watched her. Really watched her. The way she avoided eye contact. The way she nervously tucked her hair behind her ear. The way her fingers tapped the glass a little too fast. And I realized something. If I confronted her now, it would explode. Tears, yelling, denial, chaos. Not because she was innocent, but because she wasn't ready to let her lie die. So I decided to wait. To watch. To understand how long this deception had truly lived beside me. Over the next few days, I paid attention in a way I never had before. Her texts became shorter. Her smiles became thinner. Her voice changed, lighter when she talked to someone else, heavier when she talked to me. I noticed how fast she flipped her phone face down whenever I walked into the room. How she glanced at the screen with a tiny, involuntary smile. How her fingers shook just a little when she typed messages she didn't want me to see. One evening she said, casually, almost too casually, "I'm staying late tonight. Don't wait up." I nodded. What else could I do? She had rehearsed this line 1,000 times. She left, and 20 minutes later, my phone pinged. A location notification she set up long ago, so I wouldn't worry. It put her nowhere near her office. Nowhere near work. Nowhere near any explanation she'd ever given me. She was in the same part of town where she planned to meet him in her messages. Something inside me went quiet. Completely silent. I got in my car and drove. Not to confront her, but to see the truth with my own eyes. To confirm that the world I thought I lived in no longer existed. I parked far away, in the shadows. A few minutes later, she appeared. She walked quickly, fixing her hair, checking her phone, glancing around. She didn't look tired. She didn't look stressed. She looked excited, nervous, alive. He approached her from the side. She smiled. A smile I hadn't seen from her in months. A smile that wasn't meant for me anymore. They hugged. Close. Familiar. Like two people who knew exactly what they were doing. I didn't get out of the car. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I just watched. And for the first time, I wasn't hurt. I was empty. That night, when she finally came home, smelling of someone else's cologne and someone else's joy, I didn't ask where she'd been. I didn't need to. Her lies were gentle now. Too gentle. Practiced. Refined. And somehow that was worse than the affair itself. I knew the conversation had to happen. But I also knew I couldn't do it in anger. I couldn't do it while drowning. I needed to be calm enough to walk away when it was done. So the next morning, before the sun was fully up, I walked into the kitchen, sat across from her, and said, "We need to talk." She looked up, and for the first time in months, I saw fear in her eyes. But I had no idea that what came next would hit even harder than everything I'd already seen. The morning felt unnaturally quiet. Not peaceful, just heavy, like the air itself knew something was about to end. She sat at the table holding her coffee with both hands, as if she needed the warmth to keep herself together. The coffee was already cold, but she didn't seem to notice. When I said, "We need to talk," she froze. She didn't breathe. She didn't blink. She just stopped. That's when I realized she already knew what this conversation was about. Not because of guilt, but because she understood her second life had finally been exposed. I sat down across from her. For the first time in all of this, I didn't feel anger or heartbreak, just exhaustion. A deep, bone-heavy exhaustion that comes from knowing the truth has been dragging behind you for months, and you finally can't carry it anymore. She tried to smile, a small, nervous, shaky smile that didn't reach her eyes. "What do you mean?" she whispered. I placed her phone on the table. Screen down. That was all it took. Her expression collapsed. Her breath hitched. Her fingers tightened around the cup so hard I thought it might crack. "You looked at it?" she asked, barely audible. I nodded, not to shame her, but because there was no point pretending anymore. Her voice trembled. "It's not what you think." I interrupted her for the first time in our entire relationship. "Tell me the truth." She swallowed hard, looked down, and for a moment I thought she might actually apologize. But instead, she started with denial. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was going through a lot. Every excuse felt emptier than the last. Because I had read the messages. I had seen their plans. I had watched them meet. I had seen the version of her she didn't show me anymore. Nothing she said could erase that. So I asked the one question I wasn't ready to hear the answer to. "Do you love him?" She hesitated. And that hesitation was the answer. Her silence was louder than any confession. We sat there without speaking. She stared at the table. I stared at her. And in that moment, I wasn't looking at the woman I loved. I was looking at a stranger wearing her face. There was nothing left to fight for. Not because she chose someone else, but because she stopped choosing us long before this moment. I reached into my pocket and took out the ring box. I placed it gently in the center of the table. When she saw it, her eyes widened in shock, maybe even regret. "You were going to propose?" she whispered. I didn't let her finish. Not anymore. She looked away sharply, blinking fast. I don't know if that was guilt, sadness, or just fear of consequences catching up. But it wasn't love. I knew that much. I stood up, walked to the bedroom, opened the closet, and began packing my things. Slowly, calmly. No yelling. No slamming doors. Grief had already passed. This was acceptance. When I came back with my suitcase, she was standing near the door, pale, shaken, trying to speak. "Please, don't leave like this," she whispered. I stopped, looked her in the eyes, and finally said the one truth she needed to hear. "I'm not leaving. I'm just letting go of someone who left me first." She stepped forward, then stopped herself. We both knew there was nothing left to salvage. I walked out, closed the door behind me, and for the first time in months, I could breathe. The world outside didn't collapse. Cars kept passing, people kept walking, the morning kept moving. Life didn't fall apart, just the version of it I'd been clinging to. And standing there on the sidewalk, with my suitcase beside me, I realized something. Sometimes the truth is the most painful thing you'll ever face. But it's also the only thing that lets you start over.